There he is. So, all right, welcome, Wapiti Wednesday for January 31st. So, okay, a couple of things for tonight. First off, we touched on it on the last one that tonight we are going to talk about first cycle calves versus second cycle calves. And of course, I'm sure there's people that are like, I don't care. I'm not hunting calves. So, but it actually helps understand elk behavior. And I will bet those of you that have been out and encountered elk have actually already seen the answer. So, have you ever noticed when out there in September that you get into a group of elk and you see calves in with the group, and you have some that are a little bigger,
No
they're
hairs were taken today.
more
Awesome.
colors,
Pressure on there.
but then
Snap off, yeah.
you notice others that are a little smaller and still have barely visible white spots on them.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, that's your difference between the first cycle and second cycle calves. Those smaller ones that have those real faint dots still are second cycle calves. Because remember, a cow is only in estrus for, short window. If she's not bred, she falls out and then she comes back into estrus 14 to 21 days later. So you're talking almost 3 weeks between first cycle and second cycle. And with that gestational period, so those calves are 3 weeks behind the others. And so that's why in September, and that's why too, you know, the following year they catch up pretty quick, but you might see a group of spikes and there's some difference in the body sizes with them too. Um, about year 2.5 or so, they start catching up with each other, and it's not that big of a difference. So, um, but
Are
again,
there different
what's that?
are there different survival rates for the two different cycles?
You cut out just a little bit, Greg.
All right. Different uh survivability rates for the two cycles.
It can be. I mean, if you go into a harsh winter, that's a long winter, those second cycle calves, because they haven't really had a chance to really pack on as much as the others, they harsh winters, they're usually the first ones with calf mortality. So, because the other ones have, had a chance to, I mean, 3 weeks, 3 additional weeks of eating lush grasses and packing on, more weight and more fat and more reserves helps. So I don't think we're going to have to worry about that this year. So I don't think there's going to be much mortality not here in Idaho. It was 65 degrees today.
Wow.
Yeah, there's there's not much snow
Yeah,
up.
it was different.
So it's yeah, I think we're, regions over here 70-75% of normal snowpack. So I kind of expected that with El Nino weather pattern. So we'll see how it kind of shakes out. Still a little too early for me to kind of give a 2024 hunt forecast quite yet, because we got to see what spring and summer weather is going to do. So
Yeah, we had a storm come through here and drop 4 inches of rain in 3 days.
yeah, I think we have a half an inch coming tomorrow and a quarter inch on Friday. So there's been moisture, a lot of rain, so but just not much snowpack up in the mountains. So okay. So the reason I kind of want to talk about, first cycle and second cycle calves is it just kind of falls in line with October rifle hunts, where we've heard people out there on October rifle hunts and they're just talking about the bulls screaming, like full rut is going on. That's because they got into an area where second cycle cows came into estrus, and you basically have a second rut happening is what's going on. So that's why you can get really good bugling activity middle of October and on into tail end of October. So um, heck, I think this year, I think I heard people still talking about bulls, bugling a little bit all the way into first part of November. So, which can happen. So, because, we had a lot of food out there this year. So elk were really, really spread out. So you think about some of these groups that had, bulls harvested, maybe they only had 2, 3 cows. Now all of a sudden you're talking 2, 3 cows running around trying to find another bull to breed. And, maybe they missed that first cycle. Maybe they missed that second cycle. And it wasn't until the third cycle that, they got a bull to breed. Most cows are bred in the first cycle. Bulls are really, really good about getting that done in the first cycle. So, because they know, I mean, their biology, they know the gestational period, they know for the best survival of the herd that it needs to happen in that first cycle. So that way, everybody's got a chance to get the fat reserves back up and get ready for the winter. So, okay. Any questions on first cycle, second cycle calves?
No.
No, it's a good subject.
Notice Sandy doesn't have his camera turned on tonight. He's got his headphones on because he's sitting there donating blood.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He's doing things the rest of us should do. So, okay. So I had a question pop up in the community center, and I was going to cover it on a future, but we'll just go ahead and cover it tonight. And Joel was asking about calf sounds. He struggles with calf sounds, and I know we don't talk a whole lot about calf sounds, and I'm going to go ahead and do some videos for it in the course. So the difference between a cow sound and a calf sound is just duration. So best way to explain the difference. So a cow sound, shh, like you're telling somebody to be quiet. Now, your tongue pressure will change whether you start a little bit higher or a little bit lower. The only difference with that is younger cow, older cow. But a calf, you're going to do the exact same thing with your tongue, but now instead of shh, you're going to go short. Shh. Just a real shh, shush. So you can actually mix those together. And that right there, coupled, will kind of get you a little bit more of that herd talk with incorporating calves into it. So, some of the things that I'll do when I'm doing calf sounds is I'll take my lips and pierce them forward a little bit. So, and you can add the same emotion in calf sounds like you can cow sounds. Your lost mew. If you take that same approach but just shorten your air, calf sounds. Have you guys ever been out there and you've been calling and all of a sudden you hear that? And here comes a little calf just trotting in, just looking to see where the party's at.
I've had a calf
Experience that
come
one.
in. I've had a calf come in within 5 feet of me. They're not very smart.
Do you guys remember the old leafy wear camo? Where it had the,
Oh, the leafy stuff?
yeah,
Yeah.
where it had those parts that would blow in the wind and stuff. I wore that and I was knelt down working a herd one time and I had a calf coming through the brush. Just constantly with that. And she came up right next to me and stopped and started nibbling on the leaves on the sleeve.
Wow.
So I don't add a lot of calf sounds into my routine. There is times during midday where I'll do a lost calf routine if I know I'm near a a herd bedded down. Because here's what's interesting is, the lost calf sounds a lot of times plays to the maternal instincts of the cows. And, there's always that theory, well, if you call the cow in, if the cow comes, the bull's going to follow. But in reality, during midday with that lost calf, and I will form a video, I will do a video in the calling sequences of a lost calf routine. What's crazy about it is a lot of times you can get the bull to respond and react faster than you can get the cows. So, because the deal is a mature bull does not like younger bulls pestering cows. So, younger bulls pester cows because they don't know, just leave them alone until they come into estrus. So they constantly push them and hook them and do all kinds of stuff. And when you do that lost calf, the bull a lot of times doesn't know, is this calf separated from the group? Because, especially mature bull, he protects his herd. So he doesn't know if this calf wandered off and is lost and separated from the herd, doesn't know if it's in danger, doesn't know if there's a young bull that's harassing this calf that's trying to breed it because they just don't know any difference. And so a lot of times you can get that herd bull up out of his bed and come over to you to save the day, basically. So, we're boring Larry tonight with these topics. He's just over there.
No, you're not. I just had a yawn come on,
That's all
uncontrolled.
right.
I
Brain,
was taking notes actually.
brain just needed more oxygen.
Yeah,
So,
I was gonna say that.
yep. So, no, the lost calf is an effective. It's funny. A buddy of mine, James Nash, Six Ranch Outfitters, made a post a couple of days ago, and I had to laugh because I've got a couple of ads rolling right now for Elk Calling Academy, and one of the ads I'm talking about the mediocre courses that are out there that just regurgitate information from Google and YouTube. And James kind of said the same thing today, and his post basically said the internet lied to you. You don't need to run around all aggressive, challenging every stinking bull that you meet. And he just did one small little cow call and a bull bugled. He goes, now I know exactly where that bull is located. Now I can move in on him. He goes, and he went on to say that a lot of times those guys that are running around with the aggressive mindset usually end up eating a lot of chicken during the winter. So, but that's kind of the, that I was reading this post and it got me thinking. I was like, I have not done an episode where I really just break down and discuss my calling philosophy, my approach, my mindset, and just go from A to Z with everything and break it down why I do what I do. So bet you guys can't guess what the Wapiti Live Q&A topic is in 2 weeks.
Hmm.
So I mean, there's been bits and pieces of it here and there. So, but yeah. So, um, but so even though I don't use the lost calf a lot, it is something good to know because, like I said, we've heard it out there a bunch. If you've spent time around elk, you've heard it. You've heard the calves. You've heard the lost calf, especially, and it's funny. I don't know why they do it, but you could be sitting there calling and working a herd, and that calf will come trotting in, doing that lost calf sound. So searching for you in your setup. They just left the herd. They came trotting from the group to you.
I think you had one of your solo calling routines where you had a calf come in like that.
The one-on-one, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I picked. That's why I said I had two avenues on that, on where that bull could have came through, and I chose to pick and focus on that one that the calf came in, and that's not where the group came in. So the group actually came in over on the timber, which my check off box for setups, it was coming from new growth timber that was a little thick into an open patch. And so that's a bull coming from, you know, timber darker into a light area where his pupil has to adjust a little bit. And so my gut was telling me he's not going to come in here because I have the advantage. We're not on a level playing field. He's going to come over on the other side where it's dark to dark, and he's going to be able to see before he actually steps out. But nope, that little darn calf talked me into staying where I was, even though my gut was telling me to move over that way. So, but yeah, that's the one-on-one calling video that had that.
Yeah, if I remember right, you could hear that calf just doing its lost mew as it was moving through too.
Yeah, yeah. Then what's funny is after the herd came and I was moving over to that direction and I bumped them a little bit, and then I let them go and then I moved over and re-engaged. That calf, same calf, hung right next to that bull.
Hmm.
I had him within shooting distance. I had him broadside. But that calf did a very good job of blocking the vital pocket. So um, there's things that you can't hear on camera when Eric paused it because we were repositioning where I was not saying very nice things about that calf. So
Michael, a friend of mine called in a magnificent trophy bull within 12 yards of the shooter this last year at full draw. The shooter was at full draw, but the bull was behind a bush. And at that time, a calf came up and made the collar and boogered the bull. Calves will do that.
yes, they will. Yes, they will. It's so will young raghorns. I mean, raghorns will sneak in from a different direction and just blow things up. I mean, raghorns are good at backdooring the setup a lot. So I've had it happen numerous times. And in fact, there's been times where I've been back as the caller where I have purposely jumped up and started running at that backdoor bull because I didn't have a bow. I was focusing on the bull out front, but I will run at that bull and chase him off in opposite direction. And I'll do a scream on the tube, you know, like a bull that's running him off, you know, from my cows. Because at that point, remember, you know, especially if that front bull is within the bubble, that um, now where I'm putting cow sounds towards him and my bull sounds away, so it makes it sound like that bull's on the backside of the cows anyways. It just adds realism into that bull running that raghorn off to defend his cows. So, all right. Next and final topic question for tonight. I am going to answer the age-old question of how close should I move in on the bull? And I always get asked, okay, should I move 100 yards? Should I move 200 yards? How far should I move? It's like get as close to the bull as you can. And here's where a lot of rookies make a mistake. A lot of rookies will try to set up 150, 200 yards from a bull and try to work them. And then they're shocked. It's like, oh, we're 150 yards. He would only come to 80 yards. He wouldn't come any closer than that. That's because he has cows and he already came 70 yards towards you. So here's my thought. If I'm at 150 yards and I know that bull is going to go get that 80-yard mark from where I'm at, I want to get to the 100-yard mark or closer. Because with me, my maximum effective range that I will take on a first shot is 40 yards. To me, it's easier to call a bull 50, 60 yards to get within my shooting range than it is 100 or more.
Mhm.
So that's the age-old question, how close do I get before I set up? As close as you stinking can. I mean, if I could get to 60 yards from him and then I only had to call him 20 or 30 before I had a shot, I would do it. Now you have all these variables. How many elk are there? How many sets of eyeballs? What's the terrain like? What's the cover like? How easy can I move? How close can I get? But the key thing is if I located that bull from let's say 700 yards out, once I get to the 200 yard mark, from 700 to 200, so that 500 yards, I'm walking normal. I'm covering ground to get over there as fast as I can. As soon as I get to the 200 yard mark, I'm slowing way down. I'm paying attention to where I'm stepping. I'm not stepping on sticks anymore. I'm not stepping on pine cones anymore. I will choose my path based on grass or things that are not going to make any noise when I make a step. The other thing too is I am scanning up ahead of me a bunch before I move. I may move slowly 5-10 yards, scan 5-10 yards. Now, the other thing that I do is when I'm scanning, I don't stand up. I get down on one knee. Anybody know why?
Still wet.
What's that?
You're still wet.
By getting down on one knee, you actually get down below some of those low hanging branches and you can see a heck of a lot better. That's why if you ever notice when a bull is coming in and he stops, he will drop his nose to where it's about 6 inches off the ground. A lot of people will look at that and go, oh, well, he's dropping his nose down to smell the ground. No, he's not. He's dropping his eye level down below so he has a clear line of sight down underneath those branches. And you can see a lot better. And it's amazing. The first time I did it, I was blown away because I'm standing up, looking, and I just actually I think I dropped something and I got down on one knee and picked it up and I looked up and then all of a sudden I could see legs that I couldn't see when I was standing up. There was elk right there, but as soon as I dropped down, I was like, oh, I can see a lot farther and a lot better. So how close to the elk to get? You have him pinpointed. You have a really good general idea where he's at. Whatever your maximum effective range is, kind of figure okay, I want to try to get it to where you only call that bull 50, 60 yards from his location to your effective shooting range. So if your effective shooting range is 30 yards, you want to try to get 90 yards or less. So then if he comes over as 60, he's within your effective shooting range. It's going to be different for everybody. But also too, sometimes it is really, really fun to see how close you can get. But on the flip side of that coin, it can also be really, really frustrating.
Most of the time.
They can see a heck of a lot better than we can. That is why it's absolutely critical that you slow way down on your approach. Be very, very aware where you're sitting your feet. So now, obviously, if you're in a 2-on-1 scenario, you don't have to, the caller doesn't have to get that close. The shooter needs to get up close enough so that they're playing that rule of thumb. Okay, we're just going to figure that this bull is going to come 50 yards from his location. I need to slip in so that I'm about 80 yards. And then my caller, which is back farther, and that bull will feel more comfortable coming just a little bit farther in that scenario. But it's one of those things where removing another variable. So if he doesn't have to travel quite as far from his cows to take a look, to take a peek, he's going to feel a lot more comfortable with that. So, make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Well, Sandy, you don't look too pale, so they didn't take too much blood.
Yeah, they got me quick. I was in and out of there in less than 45 minutes. It was great.
And I cannot believe you're wearing a WKRP in Cincinnati shirt.
Let's see if I can give the.
Turkey drop.
Well,
I know, but as soon as I saw the WKRP, I went to the 70s show.
Oh, Dr. Joe Peters.
Remember the TV show WKRP in Cincinnati? We're all old enough to remember that one.
Oh, Dr. Johnny Fever.
Yeah.
yep,
Les Nessman. Yeah.
yep. As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
There you go.
Oh, remember that on the helicopter, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right, guys, that's all I got for you tonight. So, any questions?
I got a question.
Yeah.
2 callers.
Yep.
You don't have a third as a shooter to station. Give me your ideas about setting up a scenario with 2 callers versus 2 callers and a shooter.
Well, so the deal in the 2 callers is you pretty much need to decide who's the shooter, who's the caller. So, because one of you is going to turn into the shooter, and we'll do it a lot with 2 of us that. Because 2 callers calling back and forth can build a lot of excitement in the woods. But the thing you need to, the thing that, and this is why it's critical that before you even start, you set up. So Larry, if you and I were hunting together and we determined, okay, Larry, I was the shooter yesterday, you're going to be the shooter today. But we'll start in a tandem calling scenario where we're calling back and forth. Once we have a bull engaged, and that bull is within 300 yards, you're going to go quiet, and then we're just going to basically, so let's say you and I are here and that bull is out front here. We're going to end up just kind of swinging, which means you're going to go quiet and we're going to do this. So now we're all in line, and then I'm going to figure out which way the wind's going, and let's say the wind's blowing this way, then I'm going to move on this side, knowing that that bull is going to want to come down and try to get my win, but that's going to bring him right into your lap. So, but the 2 caller scenario can work very, very well, especially early in the season, to generate excitement and get some of those quiet bulls going. So the hard part with that is sometimes they don't get going bugling and then they slip in quietly, which can and does happen. That's why both of you need to be packing a bow, because you
And with an arrow nocked.
absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely, always be ready. So, especially early in the years when you get a lot more back doors than you do later in the rut when you're closer to peak rut time.
Okay,
So,
good, thanks.
uh-huh.
I had the shooter turn around and look at me as the caller and try to get my attention to look behind me because there's an elk standing behind me.
Just because you got backdoored.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Bryce and I have a lot of discussions about backdoor bulls. So it happens to me a lot. Because there's days that I'm like, I just don't feel like packing my bow today. I am just gonna pack the tube. I am just gonna be the caller. And I figured, okay, there's Bryce and Brandon. One of them are finally gonna get smart enough and come sit right next to me. But no, they don't. And then they call me the idiot for not carrying my bow. But they haven't figured out to they've witnessed it so many times. And I'm like, one of these days you guys will finally figure out that you're just gonna come sit right next to me.
Your attention is focused ahead at the elk that you're calling.
You know,
That's
when I'm the caller and that's all I'm doing, I'm completely focused on painting that picture, telling that story, what's happening out in front, you know, especially of getting responses. What is he doing? Um, in fact, Colorado, that day that probably was the best day I've ever had in the elk woods. I'm sitting there calling for those two guys, and they're right on the edge of this ridge that goes down. Then there's a creek and in a meadow, and we had seen multiple bulls come out in that meadow and rake this one tree, and I mean we had multiple bulls going on back there down there. And so I backed off the lip a little bit to pull them all the way to where they had to come all the way up on top of that soft ridge to see me. And I'm sitting there doing the breeding sequence and just calling and just calling. And I turned my head to bugle, and there was probably about a 350, 360, 6x6 at about 90 yards from me in golden quaking aspens. I mean, you paint a picture of a bull, this is it. Gorgeous whale tails. And I mean, I just turned to the tube and just went. I mean, this dude never said a peep, nothing. Just came rolling off that knob and just came down to the edge of those aspens just to see what was going on. And I have no idea how long he stood there and watched me, how long he was there, nothing. So
that practice of his is why he is what he is.
yeah, because I went back in there the next day to try to find him, and I couldn't find hide nor hair of that sucker. So, all right, gentlemen, that's all I got for you tonight. So, in 2 weeks, we're gonna break down my philosophy, my approaches, and my
Who
thoughts.
asked, can anybody guess what the subject will be in 2 weeks? I think we're going to get an email from you saying, no meeting, I'm taking Liz out for dinner.
Why?
Valentine's Day.
I'm taking her to Salt Lake for the Hunt Expo. We're leaving. We're getting up the next morning, working out, and then we're getting in the truck and going to the Hunt Expo. So, actually, what I told her is there's a shop over there, and it scares me every time she walks in it because it's a leather purse and boot store.
Oh,
And I actually walked in there 2 years ago because I was kind of curious why she was so drawn to this store. I didn't think those boots were worth $750.
They're not.
Yeah, but I told her this year if she minds her P's and Q's, I might hand her $1,000 that she can go have fun in that little shop. So, and then of course,
Is the archery shop next to it?
no, but Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory is.
Ooh, okay. I'm sold.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I got so excited. So every year when we go, I go over this. I mean, I love the show. It's a great show, but I'm always excited to visit Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory. So because it's an amazing
Gotta
show.
try it. You gotta try them out.
I know, but Greg, there's one here in Boise. I found it yesterday.
Uh-oh.
I know.
Uh-oh.
It's over on 10 Mile and Chinden. And so I got home and I told Liz, and she goes, "Well, I know where we're heading on Saturday for you to get a caramel apple." I'm like, "Yeah,
That's over by the Costco?
it is." Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's cool because they have caramel apples and they'll actually take an apple cutter and go right over the stem and cut it. So then when you pull it out of the bag, it just kind of opens up like a flower and you can just pull the wedges so you don't have to end up with caramel all up on your cheeks. And so, yeah, Greg, they have giant milk chocolate covered cinnamon bears that are just phenomenal. So, all right. I'm ready for dessert now. So we're going to get off this meeting and
See if you can get me on that website, friend.
yeah, I was looking, trying to figure out how to generate a passcode, and I was also testing also. So it's something with Outlook that is just blocking that. So you might just double check in Outlook and make sure that Michael at Out Calling Academy is on the safe list. So, but yeah, I'll see how to generate a temp password and send it over to you.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Then when you reset the password, make sure you hit save
Yes,
down underneath and write it down.
absolutely.
I mean, not to say anything, but you're the only one that's having this bad luck with the ding.
I know.
You own that trophy right now.
I do.
Yeah. So
Get me set up. Thanks a lot.
I will. All right, guys. As
Yeah.
always, keep calling, keep practicing. More importantly, though, have fun. And I'm going to be on here in 2 weeks on Valentine's Day. If anybody joins me, that'll be great. If not, I completely understand, and y'all can watch the recording.
I'll be here.
Thank you, friend.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.